Right, in the previous videos we were looking at the Phase 1 Corgi ElectroRocket, and in this series of videos we're going to be looking at cleaning and repairing the Phase 2 Corgi ElectroRocket car. These are the ones that have the Sizzlers motor. As far as I'm aware, this Phase 2 only come in with the Alfa Romeo body shell, and these are the ones that have the charging hole and the on-off switch on opposite sides to the Phase 1. Opening up one of these cars is the same as the Phase 1, just a single screw underneath. But I think, as you can see here, if you remember from the Phase 1 videos, the interior is very different. The motor is the Sizzlers motor. I've got some couple of Hot Wheels Sizzlers cars here just to compare. And you see the motor is a lot bigger and it's open, and this arrangement, this type of motor, is a lot more easier to clean and take apart and even repair, because we're dealing with something that's a lot bigger. A couple of minor sort of details on the motors. Some of the Sizzlers cars, you may notice, if you're familiar with them, they have some different contact arrangements. Must have been some kind of development going on in Mambucci. Some of them have a sort of welded connection here, a soldered connection, and some of them don't. These seem to be the earlier ones with the soldered connection, but this Corgi ElectroRocket here, a little bit like the Matchbox Scorpion, seems to be a later version of the motor that doesn't have the soldered connection. The connection is actually folded underneath this part of the motor body here. So this one is slightly easier to get apart. If you find one of these, I'm not sure that they use these on the Corgi ElectroRockets, but if you find one of these, you're unfortunately going to have to heat up the connection here with a soldering iron, and the same with this one, to get the motor apart. But this one we don't have to do that. Anyway, so they're the two Hot Wheels Sizzlers, so you can see they're sort of a crossover here. And these motors are more powerful, and if this motor is completely shot, it is possible on eBay to find replacement motors for these Phase 2 ElectroRockets cars, because they're the same as the Sizzlers, and they seem to be readily available, and there's people online seem to be also restoring and repairing them. Not so much, well, I have not seen the Phase 1, the smaller sealed motor that we looked at in the earlier videos, for sale on eBay or anywhere else. So I've taken the battery out of this one. As you can see, it's all pretty grotty inside, and there's some kind of solder connection here. The Sizzlers actually don't have a solder connection. I think some people, the Sizzlers, make this solder connection to improve the contact, but this one, under all this grot, seems to have a solder connection. So we'll have to heat that up just to release this motor. But first of all, we're going to have to dip this chassis in the cleaning fluid that we used earlier. So these front wheels on this particular model here are absolutely completely shot. Looks like someone's been chewing them. But these sort of just ping out like that. I've got some spare wheels. I think I'm going to have to replace these with some spare ones I've got in my spare parts bin. So once the wheels are off, we just need to get a soldering iron. I think this is actually, with the corrosion, has actually come apart, so we won't need the soldering iron to release this. But if you find one of these and it's soldered, you'll just need to heat that up, and it'll just come apart. Right, the wheels on these, probably going to have the same trouble that we had with the Phase 1. Just to recap, like the Sizzlers here, you can see they've got plastic wheels, and the wheels pull off really easily, and that's not a problem. But these have like a aluminium alloy hub with a separate tyre, and these seem to get seized on. I'm going to have a go at pulling them off. Probably end up pulling the tyres off like I did on the Phase 1, just to make it a little bit easier to get hold of them. So let's just have a bit of a pull out shot to see if these wheels come off. Again, it's very difficult, but if you can, avoid turning the wheels because you may damage the interior of the motor. No, they're not going to come off. So as before, we did on the phase 1, we need to just get this screwdriver here between the body and the wheel hub here, and we'll just work round and we're just going to prise these wheels off. I mean, if you've got any ideas how else we could do this, by all means make some comments in the comment box. But as I said on the previous videos, trying to sort of get a pair of pliers, something on these hubs. These are very soft metal and you just chew them to bits basically. So it's easy just to try and prise them off. So I'm just going to spend some time now doing that, and we'll be back when I've got the wheels off, probably in another half an hour or so. Okay, so the wheels actually came off quite easy. They prized off very easily in the end. We've got some sort of bits of hair and things around this motor spindle. So as I said before, if this solder joint here, you just need to heat this up to release this, and then we can just bend this contact away slightly. In fact, I don't think we need to do that. It's so corroded, it's sort of, I think we'll be able to push this motor straight out. Let's just bend this a little bit more, give it a bit more freedom. Right. Okay, just sort of bent that contact out of the way, so hopefully this motor should just push out from the bottom. There we go. So this sort of very gunky chassis, we're going to dip that in the cleaning fluid. But this motor here, we're going to take apart to clean. So any of you sort of Sizzlers enthusiasts out there who wondered how to take these motors apart, I'm going to show you a little reveal or how you actually do it. So this motor here, there are 4 tabs here. We just need to bend those back, and then we can release this end plate. I might have to do that out of shot because I just need to get a hold of it. So you can see on this rather dodgy camera of mine, these 2 tabs, I've just bent these 2 back, and I've just got these 2 to do, and then the end plate should come off, and we can see what condition that the brushes are in. So I've just bent these back with a screwdriver, and hopefully this end plate should come off fairly easily. And what we can see in here is the brushes are intact. There's 2 brushes here. They're just a little bit gunky, but they look okay. There's a lot of fluff and stuff in here. It's obviously been running around on somebody's carpet back in the 70s. I'm just going to pull out this motor spindle here. It's a bit stuck. I think it's got a lot of gunge on it. Push it through. Goodness me, that is sealed in. It's so gunky. normally give so much resistance. You normally just pull out quite easily, but this is just so gunged up. So we have the motor spindle here, so a much bigger version of the one we had on the Phase 2 ElectroRocket. So on this, again, it'll be the same cleaning arrangement where you've got the commutator here. This one's not too bad, but what we need to do is just get some wet and dry paper and just clean this area up here. This is the part that contacts with the brushes in the motor, so that needs to be scrupulously clean, and the same for this. So the end of the spindle here. I'm going to dip the end plate here with the brushes into the cleaning fluid with the chassis, so that will sort that out with that. This sort of magnet block, the main block of the motor, you see it's quite grotty. I don't know if this is corrode. No, I think it's just muck basically. So I'll just clean that up. That's just surface muck, I think. These magnets here, these are okay. Sometimes they are. You might find that they're loose and they fall out. So you can just glue these back in. Just clean it up with a sort of a paintbrush or something, so I get all the muck out. You just have to be mindful that you get the magnets back in the same way round. Just going back to this Hot Wheels Sizzlers here. As you can see, the Sizzlers, the painted side of the magnet is always on the top, with the green at the back and the red at the front. Just as an aid memoir, if you take this motor apart and it all just falls to pieces. Very unusual, but it is possible. So it's very simply, really, we're going to just clean this up. We're going to clean the commutator up, and then we'll just dip the chassis and the end block into the cleaning fluid, which we'll do right now.